Welcome to Chopstick Travel. I'm Luke Martin, and today I'm in Matsushima, Japan. This area is famous for their Matsushima Bay oysters. So the plan today is to experience all things oysters. We're going to be having an oyster all-you-can-eat feast, and we're also going to be going on an oyster harvesting boat to see how the Japanese traditionally harvest their oysters from Matsushima Bay. And this morning we've come to a place called Entsuin. It's a beautiful temple complex built in the 1600s. We're going to check out the temple a little bit here in Matsushima before heading to get some oysters. We've also got more in store for the day. It's going to be a great episode, and I want to say a huge thank you to buyfood.com for helping me out with today's video. They're the ultimate platform for booking all kinds of food experiences here in Japan. I'll tell you more about them later. So let's go explore Entsuin. So I thought this was like a temple complex, but I think I'm wrong now because I was just reading the pamphlet here. It's actually a mausoleum. So there's a man named Mitsumune who is buried here, and he was the founder of the Sendai clan, and he was rumored to be poisoned, and there's 7 of his followers, closest followers, who are also buried here, that after he was poisoned they committed ritual suicide. But regardless, it's a beautiful complex with a lot of history. It's a national heritage site of Japan. As a foreigner, it kind of just looks like a Japanese temple with Japanese gardens all around. But luckily I got this pamphlet to give me a little bit more insight.
So the owner here is teaching me how to shuck an oyster. So let me try it by myself. Let's grab one that's already or not opened yet. So some of them have popped open, but some of them are still closed, like this one. So I've got a little shucking tool. So let me try to open it up myself. All right, so I'll shuck my first oyster here. Oh, very easy actually. I guess because they're steamed, they open up nice and easy. And look at that. Oh, beautiful, beautiful oyster. Oh my gosh. And he said just to eat them natural like this for the first few oysters, and then maybe if you get bored of the taste, you can add a squeeze of lemon or some Tabasco sauce. So let me go for my first oyster here in Matsushima. Oh, they're big ones. It doesn't need any extra ingredients because the flavor is already a little bit salty from the seawater, and it's just so natural, plump, super juicy. Actually, I like it steamed. I like raw oysters, but steamed, it really fills up with the juice and it kind of explodes in your mouth. And when you're done, just chuck the shells in the bucket here. All right, we got a lot of oysters to eat. I mean, unlimited, I guess, for 1 hour. There is some monster-sized oysters in there. I mean, look at that. Oh, I think that's actually a double one. But, you know, these aren't the biggest oysters I've seen in the world, but still extremely fresh. All you can eat. Doesn't get much better than that. Look at how plump and beautiful that is. And here in Matsushima in the winter time, this is the season for the oysters. These are farmed oysters, but in the west of Japan, you can get wild oysters. you don't need any sauce. They've got a subtle sweetness, very juicy and plump, and also a subtle saltiness from the salt water. Man, I'm gonna be able to destroy a lot of these. So I've got a local beer from this little town that we're in here. It's a local craft beer, so couldn't think of anything better to go with it. Maybe sake, but a little early for the sake, I think. Yeah, and he just gave me some lemon, so it's fun to shuck these open. Some of them are easier than others, but it's kind of like part of the experience to shuck these. You don't want to crack the shell at all, because then you'll get little pieces in your mouth. They're all just beautiful when you open them up. And a little squeeze of some lemon concentrate here. Just a couple drops, doesn't really need much. Yeah, it's good with the lemon. Honestly, it doesn't need anything. The flavor au naturel is even better. Yum. So the owner just threw on a second batch for us. We've got a lot of oysters to go through, and it takes about 15 minutes or so for them to steam. There's another area of Japan, Hiroshima, which is pretty famous for their oysters, but the locals here say that their oysters here in Miyagi are better. I've had both, and honestly, I think these are better. Working our way through these oysters. Look at this big, plump one, and check this out. It's a double. Oh, they're so good. And they're sticking together, so you can get a little surprise. Oh, this one's way smaller on the backside. A little parasite oyster. Man, these are amazing. All right, this is my last one. I lost count a long time ago, but this is how many. Apparently, the owner's here saying that I did a bad job. Apparently, people can eat a lot more than I did. They're so good though. You can just keep eating them, keep eating them. Not like other oysters I've had. After a couple, it's kind of too much, too rich. These ones are like, they keep going, amazing. Oh, I'm full up. I feel like I just climbed Oyster Mount Everest. I'm so stuffed full of oysters, but that was so delicious. And now we're gonna head out onto the boat and see how they're harvesting and farming the oysters here in Matsushima. So let's go. All right, we're on the boat. Gonna head off. Put our life jacket on. Safety first. Let's go see where all those oysters I just ate come from. The oysters along this little pier right here are what the fisherman calls the mother oysters. They are the ones that lay all the eggs, which fertilize this entire bay, and they were all wiped out when the tsunami hit this region. So these ones are about 10 years old. So they're all wild oysters, but they lay the eggs, and then they grow the rest of the oysters in this bay. So that's really important right there. So this is the farm where they're growing the oysters, and you can see all these scallop shells hanging into the water. So they take these little kind of ropes full of scallop shells and bring them over to that area where the mother oysters are when they lay the eggs, and let those eggs stick to these scallop shells, and then they bring them over here, hang them up, and let them grow for approximately 1 year. So they have little baby ones on them right now because they already finished the harvest,
they just started to regrow them. So that was the reason we were able to have such fresh oysters today, because they finished harvesting them. I thought we were going to be able to see some harvesting today, but they finished the harvest. I think it's completely done. They've started next year's batch, but it's really cool. And they use the scallop shells because it's just environmentally friendly. It gives a substrate for the oysters to attach to when they're little eggs. Wow, it's really unique. Not really sure what's going on right now, but the fisherman just brought me over to this little island. It's barely an island. He says I should go stand on it so we can take a cool picture. So I guess I'm gonna stand it here. I hope he doesn't leave me forever. Thank you for saving me. All right, my own private island here in Japan. This part of Japan really reminds me of my part of Canada that I come from, the Bay of Fundy. It's really kind of similar with the rocks and everything. It's just really reminiscent of being home.
From baby and growing.
So this area has a little bit deeper water, so he's able to spread them out a little more, and this is where he'll take them after a few months to help them grow to a different size. So these ones are a little bit older here, and then apparently he moves them to another place. And we're just talking to the fisherman. I don't know if we call him a fisherman or a farmer, but both, I guess. He's telling me that they actually found ancient remains of people that used to live in this region, and they found that even then, over 2,000 years ago, people were eating oysters in this area. And his family has been farming and harvesting oysters here in this bay for at least 120 years, he thinks.
Hey!
Wow, so he just pulled it up right out of the water. I mean, come on, it doesn't get fresher than that. Beautiful oyster, not steamed this time, fresh out of the water. Let's try it out. Like I've already not had enough oysters. That is salty from the water. So fresh and plump. Jeez, it's even juicier than the other ones. Oh my God, that's good. Wow, what an experience. Fresh oysters right on the water, right out of the water and on the water.
He tried not to take the water around the oyster.
Okay. So he's just showing me the proper way of doing it. You got to kind of slurp it up and use your lips to get the salty water off. Otherwise it'll be too salty. Like the one I had was quite salty, so maybe I have to have another one. No complaints. You got to do it Japanese fisherman style. Wow, good job. Good. It's good. Oishii?
Fresh.
That was absolutely delicious. So this little floating device, just a couple pieces of bamboo and some buoys, and that's where the final step of the oyster growing process is. You know, obviously Japan is very famous for their seafood, so it is really an honor to be able to try fresh oysters like that from the source here in the part of Japan that is arguably the best quality oysters in the world. So I think hands down that's going to be the best oyster I ever eat. That was such a fun experience going out on the boat. Anytime I get to see how The food comes, you know, from the farm to the table. So they say, I really just love to get that deeper insight into how our food is produced. And here in Japan, they take such pride in everything that they do. And the fisherman today was so incredibly friendly. So we're back on land, but we're heading to have one more seafood meal just down the street from here. So let's go. And I don't think we're gonna have any more oysters though today. So of course this restaurant is also serving oysters. This is a grilled seafood restaurant, but they have other fresh seafood. So you can see they've got some fresh scallops, live, shooting water. He doesn't want to get picked up at all. These guys are very fresh and active. Look at that. Oh wow. Hello. Also got some clams, some smaller ones and then some bigger ones over here too. So this shop just specializes in whatever they caught fresh this morning. This is fishermen owned and operated. So the fishermen are catching their fish in the morning and then their family is cooking it up later on in the day. And I ordered up some scallops, hotate, grilled and also sashimi style. And the other very popular product of this area, Miyagi, is anago, which is sea eel. And it's only available usually in the summer, but we were lucky. Apparently they actually caught some anago. So we've got some sea eel. You might be familiar with unagi, which is another type of eel eaten here in Japan. That's fresh water. This is anago. So we're going to order some of that up. I'm super excited to try it out. So here is our sashimi scallop, fresh raw scallop, served with a lemon right in the shell. So I'll go for a squeeze of lemon on top of that. I don't know if I've ever actually had scallop sashimi before, so let's try. Very fresh. Nice and sweet actually. And it kind of has two textures. The middle part, very tender fall part, and then there's like a lining that is a little bit of a crunch to it. It's very naturally sweet. Nice with the lemon. So here is the beautiful anago, grilled saltwater eel with some soy sauce on top, I'm guessing. Let me try to pull a piece off. Oh wow. He warned me that there is some small bones. And apparently you can catch this all year round, but the best season for the oiliest anago is summer. Very soft. Oh, I don't even know if there was any bones in that bite. It was extremely soft, tender meat. A little bit of a sweet soy sauce. You can taste the smoky grill. That is really, really good. Even the seaweed is locally sourced seaweed in the miso soup. So cool. I love that culture here in Japan. So here is the grilled scallop, and just look at the size of that. That is the biggest scallop I think I've ever seen in my life. And look at this too. He just brought over some soy sauce that has dashi, that's using local Miyagi oysters, or sorry, Matsushima oysters. So I'll go for a little drizzle of this local soy sauce, not too much. And oh man, this is gonna be messy, I think. That is way too big for a one bite. That is so meaty. Look at how thick that is. Wow. Also very sweet, naturally. Just flakes apart in your mouth.
And that soy sauce. Very subtle flavor. I didn't put a lot. But jeez, I just can't get over the thickness, the girthiness of that scallop. Look at that. That is like an 1.5 inches thick. Very good.
Really fresh seafood. Here in Matsushima, I mean, all the seafood is fresh, but this stall or this store has some really high quality good stuff. But man, I am stuffed full of oysters mostly, but now scallops and eel and everything. Oh, I think I need a nap, but instead, first, gonna take a walk around this beautiful town and check out some of the views. Matsushima Bay has tons of islands and a couple of them have bridges. I think 3 from Matsushima town you can take these little bridges over to. We've come to Oshima. It's got this beautiful red bridge. If you come over, there's a little Shinto shrine here. This place is really historical. I can't tell you about the history because I don't know it. I can tell you about how an oyster grows, but I can't tell you about the history of Oshima Island here in Matsushima. But it's beautiful. We're gonna take a little walk around and digest some more of these oysters. There's some caves and lots of walking trails. It's not a very big island, but you get some really nice views over the Matsushima Bay. And there's all kinds of different little shrines and stuff everywhere, all made of wood. Feels like very far away from any tourists at all here. I think we only saw about 2 or 3 other locals on the entire island, so it's kind of a hidden gem. Really beautiful. All right, guys, another incredible day here in Japan. Definitely one of my top travel destinations in the world for food, for culture. Japan has it all. It is an incredible place. So if you're planning on visiting Japan, definitely check out buyfood.com. They offer unique experiences, food tours, and restaurant reservations. And for every booking made, they donate meals to children in need through their program, Food for Happiness. So it's a great cause, great company. Huge thank you to buyfood.com for helping with today's video. Huge thank you to you for watching. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Chopstick Travel. Bye.